What did you learn about coaching at Wisconsin in your first year?
Gosh, I mean, every year you learn so much. You really do. And if you don't, obviously the game's going to pass you. Um, but I think that more than anything, I think I learned that you can't really figure out who you are and what you've got until you really create those adverse situations, which you can't do other than games. And I'm not saying I didn't know that, but I thought I had a better grasp on year one because of the experiences I had at Cincinnati going into year one at Wisconsin to say, okay, well, I can't make these mistakes. I got to find out these things. And then I realized again that like it's really difficult to figure out truly what's deep down inside, what that locker room is really like until you really go through some of those tough times.
Badgers have had 22 winning seasons, but it's been 12 years since last Big Ten championship. So what do you think it's going to take to elevate the program back to that level?
I think first of all, it's a commitment, but it's also a mentality. And I say that in a way that everybody's committed. You're playing Division I football, you're committed, but there's a different level of commitment. There's a different level of truly committed to this being plan A, of understanding like I came here, yes, to get a degree and yes, to do all these things, but if I'm not training and have this mindset that I'm going to go play at the next level and develop that way, it's going to be really difficult for us to continue to grow and put ourselves in a position to win and play for and win a championship. And so for me, that has a lot to do with recruiting, but it also has to do with creating the mentality of how important this game is, how important this is to develop, how important this is to want and have the hunger and the passion that this is what you need and you have to have and you can't live without it.
The offense was a bit of a work in progress last year. What is it going to take to get that side of the ball better?
Everybody talks a little bit. I do think that the defense was every bit as much of a work in progress. I would say this, like everybody has injuries. The injuries that happened to us on the offensive side of the ball hurt us in our growth as an offense. We know more than anything offensively, we've got to do a better job at recognizing these next 39 days of camp and things is where are our strengths really. You know, where are the talent emerging and growing, and then find ways to make sure we're putting those guys into the system that we have. That's what we've got to do a much better job of, and that's what you learn as you go through fall camp, as you live things up. But it's similar on the defensive side of the ball. We've really got to make sure we, as a whole, as a team, see how this group evolves, see how this group works together, and make sure we get our talent guys, our guys with the most into the right positions, and do what it is that they do, as opposed to thinking that we're going to continue to develop this schematics of things and it's not going to override what our guys can and are willing to do.
You brought in quarterback Tyler Van Dyke from Miami through the portal. What has impressed you about him so far?
First is humility, his ability to walk in, and even though he's been a 3-year starter at Miami and, had some, obviously some incredible successes in his time there from even, let's be honest, even monetarily and the things that these guys can earn in some situations, to walk into our place, embrace the, what it is that we have to offer in a lot of ways, understand that this is a competition, and really truly humble himself in a way like, look, we're going to ask you to train different than you've ever trained. I'm going to ask you to kind of revert back to the way that you played as a young quarterback as opposed to the way you played maybe the last year as a quarterback. And then, hey, we also want you to step out of your comfort zone and really start to lead this team in a way that which we would expect you to lead, with the confidence and things that you can't just say have, but you've got to earn and gain through all the things you do with your team.
What's getting harder about coaching college football?
The hardest thing is not knowing where this end line is, right? To me, college football is about building a program. I don't want to build a team. I think teams are things that you look at building every year. I some ways think that NFL has always, in my vision, been building a team, right? Free agency, this, that, and the other thing, each and every year. College football to me is always about building a program. And it's really hard to have that vision of building a program when you don't know what the parameters are. You don't know what the rules are. You don't know what the playing field looks like in this evolution of time that we're in right now in college football. So to me, the most difficult thing is, and leaves me laying awake at night, is I want to have a plan for the future as we continue to grow, but it's hard to have a plan when you don't know what the rules and the parameters are going to be as we continue to grow.
4 new teams coming in. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities with that?
Well, I think challenge-wise, it's obvious, right? I mean, there's some great football teams, some great traditions and histories walking into the Big Ten. I call it the coast-to-coast Big Ten. But I think that the challenges are just what they are, right? It's more games, it's greater teams, it's more competitiveness. But I think the experience is far outweigh it. I think it gives our kids an opportunity to create and generate some greater experiences, broaden even their whole mind of different things that they can see and different things that they can be challenged by. And you add those things together, I just think it makes college football a greater product, and the experiences that our guys have and where they're going to be in the long run so much better.
No divisions in the Big Ten this year, so what opportunities do you see there?
That has obviously been a large topic and a large question throughout this entire process. These last few weeks. Look, I'm one of those guys that believe that let's get it. Let's put the best 2 teams. Everybody's got the same opportunities. We kind of get rid of some of those ideas that, hey, we got to have one from the East or one from the West or one from the leaders and one from the legends and all the different things that we've had in this league, and say, hey, let's just figure out who the 2 best are. Now, we know that's not always the easiest, right? I mean, if we get 2 undefeated teams, it's pretty simple. If not, there's other ways that we're going to have to figure this thing out. But the addition of the 12-team playoff at least doesn't eliminate guys based on some of those things. But I think in the long run, it gives us an opportunity to make sure that we're going to be represented by the best.
Now, you mentioned the 12-team playoff there. Camp Randall putting the heaters under the field in preparation of potentially hosting playoff games. How does that change your preparation expectation for the season?
It doesn't. I mean, to be honest, like we've always kind of said this, nobody's going to define what success looks like for us outside of our program. And that's hard. I mean, today's day and age, everybody defines success, right? Every social media, every different thing. But really deep down inside, it's not going to be like, hey, don't let somebody else define what this success looks like. Do we have a goal? Do we have an objective? Yes. It doesn't have to change even though we added a 12-team playoff. Our goal and objective is obviously to play our best football in November and to put ourselves in a position to play for a championship in November. And I really do believe that if you put yourself in that position, everything else takes care of itself. You have a chance to be in a championship. You have a chance to win a league. You have a chance to for sure be in a 12-team playoff, which ultimately gives you those opportunities that you always want. So it's to say it changes, well, we're going to change our goal from win the Big Ten or win a national title to just make a playoff. No, we don't have to change. It's still play our best ball at the end of the year, put ourselves in a position to play for a championship in November.
Who was Hunter Werler as a leader?
Hunter is the guy that really has helped push a change in the leadership style. He is a lot of what it is that I believe leadership looks like and be. And it's not just the way you play the game, but it's your ability to create a standard and wanting to create a standard, ability to set a standard, which is different, meaning like, okay, now we've figured out the things that are important to us. Now how do we set this standard? And then he's got the greatest ability to uphold the standard, A, because he's a great player, B, because he does everything right, and he's willing to have some of those tougher, harder conversations that I think within our own program we've got to be able to do.
Does your preparation for the season change at all, knowing that you've got a big non-con matchup with a team like Bama?
So, yes and no. I think, yes, it does a little bit, but I think also what is the league has turned to with these 18 teams and what the schedule looks like has been every bit as much to say, okay, we need to change a little bit in the way that which we prepare and what we do. Having Alabama on the schedule on Game 3 and then obviously opening the Big Ten Week 4 with USC really kind of makes sure that we understand, like, the game 1 and 2 are always important, but we got to be in a better place that we're much further along, I truly believe, in Game 1, so that jump from 1 to 2 is significant, and that jump from 2 to 3 is even more significant. So we can find out where we really are. And there's nothing greater than playing a game like Alabama in Week 3 to truly find out where you are as a team and as a program.
What are the program objectives in year 2?
It hasn't changed. It's to play your best ball at the end of the year, to have an opportunity, put yourself in a position to play for a championship. The objectives every week is more so about how do we do this thing together. And that's where I think that we struggled last year with some new leadership and some new ways of doing it. Not that everybody didn't believe and buy in, but when adversity hit, we didn't have the strength to stay together. And I don't mean that just as the players. I meant that, from the leadership from the top down, and what we do as a staff to be the example to what we do as a team. And so really the objective is in ways that how do we find this connection that no matter what the situation, no matter what the adversity, the strength is still within.
What is your favorite part about being the head coach of Wisconsin?
I really do think it's the pressures. I think it's understanding that you have an obligation every single day. That's motivating to me. Right? I wake up every day saying you deserve nothing, you go earn everything. And if you weren't in one of these positions that you're evaluated so often every single day and in public, I think you can get a little bit comfortable in the route at which you go and some of the things that you do. And for me, I think that's the most motivating thing is to be in this position that every single day there's so many people that are counting on you, and you need to be and set and create and withhold that standard more than anybody else.
Identity-wise, year 1 to year 2 and beyond, what do you want the program identity to be?
So that's to me the idea of even in all of our recruiting, we're talking about being a traditional team, and team is something that's built over time. That program is built over time. That team is that 1 year thing. And for us, again, it's not something we put on a wall. It's not something that we say this is who we are. It's obviously what we promote, what we permit, what we put on film. But no matter what our system is offensively, no matter what our system is defensively, we know we want to continue to create the toughness, the nastiness, but also combined with the discipline it takes to play at the highest level and at the most critical moments. And you think those things are easily said and in some ways developed, but I think it starts with really the type of kid that you can bring in, but then also the environment in each and every one of those rooms that you can create, but ultimately what you can uphold. And you can't do it by yourself. Not me, not one guy, not even the 3 leaders that we have here. It's got to really continue to grow within the entire program, from every coach within the program to those guys that are coming. Not everybody's going to be the same, but they got to be willing to understand this is something that they have to embrace if they want to be a part of it.